e-commerce sellers trying to figure out how to grow your company. Innovation is the way to go. And we're going to be talking about that coming up right now on the Ecommerce Revamped.
Welcome to Ecommerce Revamped, where we break down the hottest trends, insider tips, and strategies shaping the future of e-commerce. Powered by Miva, the engine behind seamless online stores. Now here's your host, Rob Stanley.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ecommerce Revamped. I'm, of course, your host, Rob Stanley. We got a good one today. We're talking about why innovation drives e-commerce growth and success. That is a big thing, especially I was an e-commerce seller for many years, trying to be innovative and come up with ideas, whether it's a product idea, whether it's a marketing idea. There's so many things you got to really concentrate on as an e-commerce seller. Hey, Mitch, how you doing?
Great to see you, Rob.
Good to see you too. So Mitch, let's talk a little bit about innovation and how it boosts e-commerce customer retention. Customer retention is a big thing, keeping those customers, keeping them where they can come back over and over again. And what do you guys do at ScanMyPhotos, or what kind of tips could you give people when it comes to customer retention?
Absolutely. It's so important. Once you get a customer, you got to keep them for life. And the easiest way is to do a great job. It's so important to dazzle. Rob, remember when we were kids with, what was it, Cracker Jacks, and there was always a prize inside, right? And that's what business needs to be about too, especially e-commerce, with someone from around the country is finding you and trusting you. You got to do all types of surprises, blow them away, not just with customer service, but outperforming whatever you do. I think that's the best way to retain customers.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that comes up when it comes to customer retention is like a subscription type thing, or, sending out emails as far as like a newsletter. Mitch, are you guys taking advantage of any of that? And is there any tips you could maybe give everybody on that?
Absolutely. Emails are really important. They're inexpensive, but please make sure never to spam and just send junk. Rob, if your inbox is like mine, nonstop, last day, final offer, 50% off, 80% off, all that stuff, you got to have something to say to get people to open, click, and then convert it into a sale. And it has to be something more than just a sale. At ScanMyPhotos, I look so carefully to make sure it's not just about a discount and a promo code. I think that's the worst thing you could provide, because you're already cheapening your product. Think of a super high-end luxury retailer. Think of Apple. When was the last time you walked into an Apple store and they were shouting 80% off? And I think that's where a lot of e-commerce companies go wrong. You're introducing yourself, and the first thing you're doing is saying discount, promo code. It needs to be about storytelling. And at ScanMyPhotos, we have so many. Every customer has thousands and thousands of photos, slides, all of that, their stories. So we get really personal, really emotional with the emails that we send. And I think that's so much more important than just promo code.
Yeah, absolutely. And ScanMyPhotos, I've actually was a customer in the past, have used them before, and I get their emails, which is awesome. So it sounds like emails is one of the biggest things for you guys, as far as kind of like a reminder. We'll talk a little bit more later about ScanMyPhotos and what they actually do. It's not necessarily a setup that would be good for a subscription type base in the sense of like a monthly subscription. But, sometimes people have to be reminded, like, hey, this is something you do need. Hey, do it now before there's an issue down the road. So, Mitch, when it comes to emails, which sounds like that's your primary kind of retention to get customers to come back, have you been using AI to maybe help with maybe some of the emails, or help, at least get them where it's like they're more focused on what the customer's concerns could be? How's AI played into ScanMyPhotos?
It's very big. Also with our live support, whenever anyone has a question, it goes through AI first to acknowledge and recognize the question, and then carefully provide an answer. But AI has a drawback. You can't just press send. You got to read it and edit and turn it into human speak, not AI robotic speak. but AI is a really important component. We're also doing that for photo restoration, all of that stuff. But it's taking on a bigger role every day. I did want to say that email is really important for a company, but what we do is we're really good at media, getting media coverage. Not because we have publicists, it's just me and all of us. We have really good stories. So our primary way, we do no advertising. We get great stories, CBS Evening News, the Today Show, USA Today, all of that. And that's what brings people in. But I need to give a little plug to Miva, because while I like to pretend it's my business partner, Carl, myself, all of the entire team of photo archivists here, it's Miva, and no one knows it. They all think, wow, ScanMyPhotos is an awesome platform and website. It's Miva that drives it all. So shout out to you.
Thanks, Mitch. Let's not give away all the secrets, because the reality is you got an amazing team behind you guys. You have amazing technology. So, I know this isn't necessarily related totally to this topic, but I got to ask a question. Like, what about AI when it comes to, say maybe digitizing a photo that's an old photo that maybe has issues that needs to be restored to a digital? Have you guys, and I know it's slightly off topic, but I got to know for myself, have you guys used anything like that to kind of help you with maybe restoring any of these maybe videos or images you guys have?
We do. We have, excuse me, a restoration department that handles all of it. But I was just thinking, for AI, what we do is we're super active on social media, posting 50 posts a day on everything from Threads to Blue Sky, of course, Twitter and all of that, Instagram. And really important, when we type something or respond to someone or engage with someone, I never want to use a GIF. That used to be really cool. Like, oh, that's kind of cute. What I do now is we have a customized template that designs the most beautiful, high-tech, almost like award-winning graphic images that goes along with each tweet. And that's really important because it personalizes it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about social media when it comes to you guys. You mentioned it earlier. I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, and maybe give us an example if I am right. If you took, let's say, a video clip or possibly an image, obviously with permission from the person who sent it to you, and you're able to say, let's stick with the image and show, here's a before and here's an after of what we did with an image or what we did with a video, and put that on social media, I would feel that would be a big hook of like, here's an example of what we can do. Have you tried something like that, and what kind of results have you seen?
That's a good question. I think that's great for other e-commerce companies, but for us, privacy is paramount. It's so important, protecting people's privacies. We never want to show before or after, really discuss anyone's work, unless it's in a news story. So when we did that giant order for the Cayman Islands, almost 350,000 scans, they actually did all of it. The Cayman Islands turned what we digitized, their entire 57-year history of the islands that no one's ever seen since it was first developed. And they did, they're still doing it every day. They do Instagram posts. They actually had a gallery at the National Gallery in the Cayman Islands with all the images. We digitized Queen Elizabeth and the Beatles, stuff that no one's ever seen before. And they're also turning it into a movie. So I like when customers, whether it's B2B or just regular consumers, do all the promotion. We do not. I don't want to do anything with your images, and that they're all yours.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you at least get a mention in the movie or something for doing the work.
Oh, we're on there. Cool. We're on there, and that's really cool. It's right on the About page at Time Back for the Cayman Islands, and that's just one project. It has all the information, the CBS Evening News story that explained what we did for them. So I like when customers promote us. I think it adds a lot more credibility, value than just us. It looks way too commercial.
Absolutely. ScanMyPhotos has been around for quite a while. Why don't we talk a little bit about maybe some of the growth pains you guys have gone through that maybe a new entrepreneur that's just starting a business might face when they're trying to grow their company or as their company's growing over time? What are some, possible issues you've seen, and what things can you suggest to people getting into e-commerce?
Absolutely. And we faced enormous challenges. Way back 1990, Carl and I started 30-minute photos in Orange County developing film. Everything was going great, but 2001, 9/11, to that day, people stopped traveling, they stopped buying film, and then you had the advent of digital photography. And we had to reinvent everything because people weren't developing pictures anymore, yet there are trillions of analog photos that need to be digitized for uploading to all the photo sharing apps, Instagram, Facebook, all of them, of course, TikTok. But for anyone starting out, uh, the most important question is, how does your business solve a problem? And how do you differentiate yourself? If you're not solving problems, it's going to be challenging. So we identified that in order to differentiate ourselves, because you can scan your photos at home, um, spend hundreds of dollars buying a scanner, and so you're out hundreds before your first picture. We created this bulk, super high speed photo scanning service, 1,000 photos in under 5 minutes. So that was one way. But the really cool thing is because we're the pioneers, we started this whole thing. And when you're a startup company now, the most important thing is your domain name. And Inc. magazine actually did an awesome story on us because we were the first. I could choose any name. So we chose the smartest name, as you see, ScanMyPhotos, right? That explains exactly what you do. And every startup has 100th of a second to get people to figure out what it is you do. And if you're starting to use characters, letters, all of that in your name, it's confusing. So really important to come up with a name and solve problems, whatever business it is. What are the pain points for customers? How can you help them? And how do you differentiate yourself from everyone else?
That's excellent. Such good information. Man, love you guys. A big shout out to Carl, my good friend also. Uh, Mitch, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but after, I'd like to talk a little bit about how you guys streamline your order process or just the process in general. People are sending in, obviously these photos or videos, and you guys have to get them. You have to get them done. You got to fulfill what I would call then fulfilling an order. But I'm sure that's evolved over time. So let's talk a little bit right after this commercial break about how you guys have evolved your basically order fulfillment over time. Right after this.
Need an e-commerce platform that's as ambitious as you are? Miva empowers your business with seamless design, top-tier features, and the flexibility to scale. For serious growth and a better online experience, it's got to be Miva. Visit miva.com/podcast and start building success today.
So head on over to miva.com/podcast. We got a good resource page. You can watch some of the previous episodes of our podcast. Well, that new page is getting done right now, but hopefully by this point. So everybody, just real quick, I'm talking about why innovation drives e-commerce growth and success. I got Mitch Goldstone of ScanMyPhotos on right now. And just for a break, I was talking a little bit about order fulfillment. Your guys' process has to be a bit longer than some of the others. It's not like they're buying a product, you're putting in a box and shipping it. But I'm sure that process has streamlined or changed over time. Maybe step us through, how it was and where you got to now and some of the challenges you faced when it came to fulfillment or order fulfillment.
Sure. When we started out with technology, it was CDs, and that was all you got. And then we switched to 8 GB flash drives. And now what customers want are just instant uploads. So when you send your photos, photo media to us, it's uploaded back to you. If you select Scan Fast, it's same day. And that's kind of a challenge for us because we're getting so many emails. People think there's a problem with the order because they see it was just received, and within hours, they get an email and they thought there's a problem with the order, but it's actually a link to access all the scanned images. So over time, it's evolved with technology. So now primarily it's just uploading services.
Absolutely. Have you guys done anything with VR or virtual reality type stuff? Is there a way maybe to scan a photo or something and turn it into a VR?
Rob, that's our newest project, and if you know, I've been very active with CES, Consumer Electronics Show, since 1990 each year, and what I've been doing is learning from a lot of the vendors. So with virtual reality, the next project is once your pictures are digitized, that's only the beginning. It's the gateway. So we're working on this system. It's still in the process where you'll be able to take your pictures and using virtual reality, have an immersive experience. So for instance, if you have a whole bunch of family photos from Disneyland in 1980, it's going to identify when, where, what, everything about it. And it's going to include news articles, the music from that time period, everything. And using goggles, you'll be able to see your photos and have an immersive, awesome experience where it's almost like you're stepping back into the pictures. And that's why I like to say that ScanMyPhotos is more like a time machine. If brings everything back, but this one is a whole new level. So you'll be able to have with all your relatives and friends going back in time and actually not just looking at the photos or slides or home movies, but it merges all of them together. You'll be seeing news stories and all types of other elements related to those pictures using AI and virtual reality to identify where, when, what, and create awesome stories from it.
That is so cool. That is so cool. I love it. I love it. People sometimes, I don't think they understand, they hear something simple as ScanMyPhotos and they think, oh, you just get these photos, you scan them and we're done. And the thing that you guys are doing, being innovative and coming up with these ideas, again, the topic today is innovation driving e-commerce growth and success. You just gave a great example right there of how you guys are innovating, right? You're keeping up with what's latest thing going on in technology. How can we adapt to it? How can we make sure our customers have the capability of doing something like a VR type thing? Oh, that is so neat. Yeah, that's really cool. But, speaking a little bit about automation, you were talking about automation. How important was it for you guys to basically stay up with automation when it came to scalability? I think, start a little bit with how many photos maybe you were scanning versus, I think you said it was 5,000 within minutes now. How did that come about that you were able to stay up and be able to scale with the technology?
Sure. Well, it all started on the ScanMyPhotos side, 2008. David Pogue, he's a contributor on CBS Sunday Morning and one of the top tech experts and journalists in the country. I reached out to David on a Sunday morning. I said, David, I can scan 1,000 photos in 5 minutes. And he actually emailed me back, and we've become great friends ever since. And he said, I don't believe it. And I sent him a video. And 2 weeks later, we were on the front page of the business section in the New York Times. And David had a warning caveat. He only covers Apple. Steve Jobs gave him the first iPhone 2 weeks before so he could review it and press publish when Steve got on stage to introduce it. And he said that he's only profiled one other small business before and everything crashed. And of course, Carl and I said, oh, don't worry, we're going to be good. And I got to say, thanks to Miva, it didn't crash, but it came close to it. And that's what put us on the map. But moving forward, and I think a lesson for all e-commerce companies now is you gotta engage your customers, not with, for instance, surveys. Hey, how did we do? So we just did a survey that's getting a lot of good media coverage now, is how many people looked at their photos since they were first developed. 96% of people have never looked at their photos, slides. Rob, well, you're more advanced, but a lot of other people haven't looked at them. They're sitting in boxes. It was alarming. And the second question was to our customers who've had us digitize their photos. I wanted to know, did we digitize everything? Is that it? And I was kind of surprised. The result was 24% of people's photos have been digitized, meaning 76% of all of the photo content hasn't. So that's the type of survey we do that I found very, very useful. But I think the best thing we do now, beyond scanning and all of that, is engaging customers in crazy ways. Charmaine Patterson lives outside Dallas. I got a message from her saying she's been holding off scanning her photos for 4 years. And I was kind of alarmed. She explained it was entire family history of photos. So I didn't want to wait another day. And it was a good thing because I did something, I don't know if any other businesses ever did it before. I told Charmaine that I will be on a plane. I will be at your house the next morning at 8 a.m. And they said, by the way, where do you live? And it turns out she was in Dallas. We're in Irvine in Southern California. I flew out. I was at her house at 8 a.m. and she gave us all of her photos, her parents' wedding photos, everything. And I wanted to showcase what we do because I was really concerned where she's located of weather disasters. And as it turns out, when I arrived, there was a tornado warning, which reminded me why this is so important. I don't know of any other companies where the CEO flies out, picks up the order, but I wanted to showcase what we do now. So I gave her a GPS tracking device, one of the tiles, and it was put in the box, and she was following it on a return journey back to Irvine. And as soon as the photos got back, they were digitized within half an hour. And she's following all of this. And then she gets that email in her inbox, clicked on it, and it was an entire lifetime of photos. And then that next day, everything was returned to her. So that's pretty extraordinary. And I think every e-commerce company, if you're able to do that, get on airplanes and speak to people. Whether it's customers or some of our giants, museum accounts, all of that. I love this chatting and engaging with you, but I love it in person. So wherever you are, that was one case where I just said, I'll be there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. By the way, where do you live?
That is great. Such a great story. And, it just shows you guys care, and it's showing that extra mile you're willing to go, or in this case, a lot of miles to fly out there. But, it definitely, I actually did remember reading about that story because I think you guys post that somewhere, that little story about you doing that and how crazy that was. I got to ask a quick question personally. A lot of times older photos either have a couple things on the back. They have either somebody wrote a date. Some of the photos had a date stamped on it, which told you at least the date that was done. Or back in even the older days, people just wrote notes like, people's names and things like that. How do you guys handle that? Because, sometimes if I send you a photo, maybe it's several parents back or grandparents back and stuff. I don't maybe know exactly who they were, but maybe there was names on the back or something. How do you guys handle that when you get photos like that?
Great question. We scan both sides. When do you want it? So the back of photos have the best storytelling where people have handwritten messages, who's in the picture, stories about it. So on the website, on the order page, in addition to all the other options that you have, one is dual side scanning. So we scan the front and then the back. So you actually have all of that too. And that's really important.
Absolutely. That's super cool. Very cool. Listen, we're going to talk a little bit more about ScanMyPhotos. I do have one last kind of question related to our topic. What kind of emerging technology are you seeing that maybe some of these e-commerce sellers should be paying attention to? Is it AI or other type of technology? What have you seen out there, since you are definitely into the tech space and keeping an eye on it?
Absolutely. There's every day. Rob, since we started talking, there's something brand new that probably just happened. It's so important to read everything for learning, and also going to trade shows. I mentioned CES, of course, the Miva conference, all of those. It's really important. But to give you a little plug and shout out commercial, the answer is go to Miva.
Love it. Love it. And that's a great example you gave about trade shows. Anybody who's selling items online, there's always a trade show for the product or the industry you're in. Go there and either get a booth or go there and just walk and talk to people. You probably run across some of your own customers, and then so you don't necessarily have to fly to their house to see them. Maybe you could run into them that way and share stories with people. That is
and trade
cool.
shows are. I met Shaq at CES. My favorite one. It didn't go well, and I love him. He's my freaking hero. Is Mark Cuban, and I saw him at the Eureka booths. That's where the small innovators at CES are. And I walked up to him, and I knew I didn't have a 30-second opportunity elevator pitch. I had like 1 second. I said, "Mark, do you have all your old family photos digitized?" And he had said no. And I said to him that we digitized 1,000 photos in 5 minutes. We could get everything done. And I had handed him my business card, and he looked at me and he said, "I don't do business cards." All right. But yeah,
Okay.
So you never know who you're going to run into.
I carry business cards still, but I do have digital ones also. So that's kind of interesting, though, that, he's gone to either a digital platform or maybe you need to talk to somebody in his group to get to him. But either way, hey, at least you gave it a shot. And there's plenty of people that wouldn't even walked up and at least tried it. I thought it was.
No, I did. I did. I ran into one of the executives at CBS, a really cool job. And they had given me their business card. And Rob, you know me. So, 5 seconds later, boom, he already has an email to him. Not just it was nice meeting you, but real personal. And we became good friends. When someone hands you a card or you meet someone, engage with them. And it needs to be all about them, nothing about you. Solve their problems, find out what their issue is, all of that. And that was during the California wildfires. His friends have lost everything. So that was really special. But it's not just finding out who and getting their contact information. Reach out and engage them and regularly chat with them. Each morning, I start out my day from reading news articles, and between 5 and 10 journalists get a message from me, not about me, all about them. And if you see our social media posts, there's a lot of engagement from really A-list people in response to it. It needs to be really personal, not commercial or promotional.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we did talk a bit about ScanMyPhotos, but I do want to have you give a little bit more plug, because it's not just photos. You guys are scanning a whole lot of digital type of media and things going on out there. So tell us a little bit about ScanMyPhotos, the services you guys offer, and let people know how they can get a hold of you if they're interested in reaching out and finding out more.
Oh, sure. Just like the Inc. magazine article said, ScanMyPhotos. And it's really easy. Little background on us: we've become content providers for every photo sharing app, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of them. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, it's so frustrating as a photo archivist that people are just uploading recent pictures from their smartphone, from their camera roll. And unfortunately, like the food they ate last night, something that's real current, no one cares about. So they're posting those. But the real storytelling, the nostalgia comes into play when people start posting their historic pictures, when they were children telling stories about their life, using photos, slides, all of that. So when we started, I didn't even know what content provider meant, nor photo sharing app. But indeed, that's one of the largest parts of our business today, where people need content to post online. And at one point, I was really interested in working with Instagram specifically, because they're all about average daily users, how many people post stuff on their site. And people are just mostly posting recent, but they're real fun. The real magic comes in when you're sharing all of those stories from way past.
Absolutely. So, Mitch, why don't you give everybody the website, your email, how they can reach out to you, and we'll make sure to put it on the screen. But for those listening, go ahead and tell everybody.
Thanks, Rob. It's ScanMyPhotos.com. And what you'll notice, though, if you go to the website today, it's going to look different tomorrow because we're so engaged with customers. Any feedback we get, we make updates. We update the site about 2 to 3 times a day based on what's going on, what people want. And you'll see right at the top, today's website has our most popular service, and that is to digitize almost 2,000 photos for $145 with free shipping. So that means we mail you a box, you fill it up with your photos, we pay for it to come back to us. Everything's digitized, and then we safely mail everything back to you. And what's interesting, since we started the GPS tracking, whether it's Apple AirTag, Tiles, or the others, is 38% of all orders now include an AirTag. It's not ours, it's yours. I want to be real careful because I don't want to get involved with any of tracking. It needs to be yours, that you just put in the box with all your photo content so you can follow the journey from when you drop it off until it's returned. And we came up with that idea. It was really simple. It was, why should tracking devices only be used for luggage or finding keys? How about also for tracking your most precious possession, your photo history? So I thought that was a no-brainer to have people do it. And we're already up to 38% of every order we get includes tracking. I think people are loving it because they're following everything, where it is. They know exactly where in Irvine all their photos are, and then for the journey back home.
Absolutely. Super cool story. So again, for those who are listening, ScanMyPhotos.com, or you can reach out to Mitch at goldstone@ScanMyPhotos.com. So there you go. Be sure to reach out to Mitch if you have any other questions, or you're even just interested in ScanMyPhotos. You could go to the website. They have lots of great information. I've used them in the past for, I think it was 8mm, or no, it was one of the early days of some of the handheld camcorders. And in fact, cool. You guys were able to digitize it for me, send it back, and it was our oldest daughter's birthday party. So that was really cool because we really didn't have any way to get that, and now we do. We have it in digital.
Oh, so Rob, really I'm so glad. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's the kind of one of the new things we have now with digitizing 8mm, 16mm, where it actually digitizes each image, so you can freeze frame for posting. If you go on the website, in the news, we have a really cool story with Dylan Dreyer. She's the co-host of the Today Show, and the producer was so much fun. I was on the set. We had digitized all of Dylan's childhood movies, just like with you. But the producer didn't let her know. So Dylan is introducing ScanMyPhotos, and she's looking at the monitor, reading the script, and all of a sudden she stops, and she got so emotional. She said, "Oh my God, that's me." And she was watching her childhood photos. I think it was from her first birthday that she's never seen before. And millions of people saw the emotions of Dylan Dreyer watching this. She didn't know about it before, and that's the real magic of what we do. I'm glad you did.
Absolutely. It too. Absolutely. Well, Mitch, thanks again for coming on the podcast. It was great information. I love you guys. I love your guys' services. You do such an amazing thing, and it really is a way to kind of just tie back the history of your family and everything, and get all this updated, and don't let it get lost. So definitely reach out to Mitch and his team out there. Absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this great information. And we'll see everybody on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Ecommerce Revamped. Ready to take your e-commerce business to the next level? Visit Miva.com for the tools to build seamless online stores and unforgettable customer experiences. Until next time, keep your cart full and your customers happy.